one day at a time, I guess, trying to figure all this out.
Yeah, why are you overwhelmed?
I think the automation that you guys have is pretty overwhelming for me. I've been trying to sit in on some of the calls, but it's just been a little challenging for me sometimes to get in on these calls.
Because you don't have the time available, you're saying to attend them?
Yeah, sometimes the morning calls are really challenging for me because
Yeah.
I do have a business as well. I've been able to sit in a couple of them, but I felt like a lot of them were pretty real estate agent type conversations. It's not so much so for a new investor, and I may not have been sitting in enough to make that determination, but the ones that I have, you
It
know.
depends. Yeah, it depends on the ones that you're sitting in on. So, there's some that's specific just for real estate agents, but most of them are geared towards investment. So, a lot of times when we're talking about the real estate agent side of the business, it's because the appointment had no investment potential at all. And then once we know it has no investment potential at all, if we're licensed, and we are obviously in Massachusetts, and probably about half the people we work with are licensed, we then pursue it, as a listing opportunity. But what was I going to say about that though? But all the same principles apply. Like, so if you're in one of those Tuesday morning sessions at 10 a.m., all of the same sales principles apply when you're trying to get a deal for an investment as you're trying to get a listing. But so the ones that you're not able to jump on live, are you able to watch them after the fact?
Yeah, I've been watching them at night, so
Okay.
and it has helped. So it works out. I mean, I learned some things from it, and you know.
What specifically do you need help with? Like, because with everybody, they start off at a different point. Like, what piece of this are you kind of struggling with a little bit?
Well, I guess to start out with, the leads are great. I mean, I'm getting the leads in. There's been a few that people, that I've contacted, and they've said, I never made that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get that. I don't understand that at all. I mean, somebody fills out a form online and then they tell you they didn't do it.
Yeah.
But but it doesn't really matter, like, if whether they tell you they didn't do it or they're not interested anymore. Like, those ones you just want to pass over, because you're going to end up moving on to the ones that do work. So the formula is pretty simple. You're going to get 50 to 60 leads to get 10 to 12 face-to-face seller appointments to get one deal, and you've
Mhm.
already locked up the first deal, right?
Yes.
And so how long have you been getting leads? 3 to 4 weeks maybe?
About, let's see, I was in Massachusetts, my grandkids on the ninth. So around this, about a month.
Okay. So that's actually good. I mean, to get your first deal in the first month, I mean, you're definitely moving in the right direction. So did you make a determination on that one yet, if you're going to fix and flip it or wholesale it?
I'm gonna fix and flip it. That's
Okay,
pretty much what I had planned on doing it that way.
cool. Now, what do the numbers look like on that? What's the purchase price? What do you think the renovation is? And what do you think the resale is?
Okay, the purchase price was 28,000. They initially started at
Wow.
30. Yeah, it's a two-bedroom, one bath, about 800 square feet, which is,
What would
pretty
it, no, I'm sorry, this is off topic, but what would that rent out for?
easily once it's, a little more renovated, or the money that we're going to put into for renovation, it's easy 695, 725 here a month.
And what will you be all in on that at?
If for flipping, or for flipping
Well, let's
the
say let's say you were going to just keep this as a rental. Like, say, you paid 28,000. How much roughly? I mean, how much do you think it would take to get it into rent ready condition to get the 700 a month?
I'm putting in 15 is what 15,000.
Could you get away with 10 if it was a rental?
Possibly.
Okay.
I'm on the picky side, so I've got emotions probably I need to set aside.
Well, if you're going to rent, I mean, it's, again, I know this isn't your objective, but if you're going to rent it, you definitely don't want to go all out on it because you're not going to get more in rent. Typically speaking, like if you make this property a 10 out of 10, it's going to get 695. If you make it a 6 out of 10, it's going to get 695. Maybe you get 725 if you make it a 10 out of 10, but typically speaking, you can't really get much more. So, but I know you're flipping it anyways. The only thing I'm just thinking long term for you is you're in a market where if you wanted to ever start like a turnkey rental business, you probably could. And I don't know how familiar you are with turnkey rental. Are you familiar with what that is?
Kind of, sort of.
I mean, it's essentially all that you're doing is you're getting these properties rent ready for people. You're selling them to investors like me. Like the market is somebody like me who's in the Boston market or LA or Phoenix or in other parts of Texas. I mean, you're in just a lower priced area, maybe, you know, in a high priced area like Austin or something that they can't buy properties and rent out and make money. And you would get them turnkey ready, sell them to an out-of-state investor, and then manage the property and take a management fee. So it's a huge business in pockets of the country where you get numbers like you have. And I don't know how much you study the, you know, different areas of the country, but there's not many areas of the country where you can be all in on a property at 40,000 and then collect 700. So the rent to price ratio is ridiculous. I mean, $40,000 is nothing. I mean, like 40 grand is a car, and you know, you can take in 700 a month. It's just a great return. And for somebody like me in my market, it's something that's very appetizing to me because I can't even buy rental properties in Boston right now and make money. Yeah. So just something to think about. So you pay 28, you're going to put in, did you say 12 or 15? 15. And so you're going to be at 43, maybe 45, 46, 47, maybe 50 all in with holding costs and realtor fees and all that. So what is it worth completely done, do you think?
67 is the comp.
Okay, good deal. So you may be able to get 70. So man, these numbers are just so crazily different. Like my numbers in my market are literally probably 10 times that. Yeah. Like, you know, paying 500, putting in whatever 100 and then selling them for 750. So very interesting. But so when does that one close?
It closed on Friday.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations. I didn't even know it closed. I knew it was closing. So how you closed on that really, really fast then?
Yeah, actually, you know, it was my first lead that came in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was the first lead. And the seller was pretty patient with me, you know, as far as getting a inspection done, make sure, you know, it's a pier and beam house. So I wanted to make sure also for my sake that everything was good. And a new roof. So we kind of worked together to make it happen, and it went into closing.
Do you think you could have got it less than 28?
You know, a part of me, and I still question that, a part of me feels like I could have possibly got it at 25. But, you know, I offered 25.
What happened?
And they were reluctant.
What did they say to you when you said 25?
Oh, no, we can't do 25 because it has a brand new roof. You know, whether they put the brand new roof on themselves or whatever the situation is, they use that as their rebuttal, I guess.
And then did you just go right to 28 at that point?
I asked them what the least they would take, and they said 28.
And you just got it done right then and there?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, again, you know, you never know what's going to happen and you don't know what type of competition you might have on it. So, I mean, it seems like the numbers work on it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, 2 or 3 grand really isn't going to make or break a deal, period. And I wouldn't let it personally make or break a deal. But I think over time, as you take more and more of these appointments, you'll get a better sense of whether or not they would have taken less. So because that was your first lead, I mean, closing a deal on your first lead, it's never happened to me. We're working with over 60 people across the country right now. This is the first time I've ever heard first lead deal closed. And obviously a lot of this, and it's kind of, frustrating in some ways for me because, someone like you will get their first lead, they'll do a deal, and then somebody will go 9 weeks without doing their first deal. So it's like I'm super excited that you got your first one under contract. So that closed. Did you start the renovation yet?
Actually, it's in progress.
Okay.
As we speak, it's in progress.
But you started it though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what do you think it's going to take, roughly speaking? How long?
I've got it actually signed by the contractor, maximum 45 days, and he'll be shooting for 30 days.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's the, do you have any sense yet, like what the market's like in your area at that price point? Is that kind of lower end of the market, median part of the market?
I have a realtor friend, and he came out to look at the property, and based on what he's saying, we shouldn't have a property selling it. It's a good price point. People look for that because there are not very many of them out there.
Yep.
So
is it kind of towards the lower end price point in your area?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always
yes.
a huge benefit. Sometimes people try to go the opposite way and they start to go towards the higher price point. So if that's the lower price point, you're probably going to get over asking because there's just a big pool of buyers at the lower end. And, unfortunately, like, your realtor kind of mentioned to you, a lot of times they don't have a lot of inventory to pick from at the bottom end. So, if you get 5 to 10 buyers that really want the house, that'll make a big difference. So that's awesome. So do you feel like you're, confident with that and no issues in terms of the renovation?
No, I don't think I'm going to have problems with it. Of course, this is just the beginning, so we'll see what happens. They get kind of bored, I hear, from working on the same job. But the terms that I have with them, I gave him $3,600 in advance, and then the rest of it is due when the job is completed, and I'm going to stick to it. So I'm hoping that we don't have any hurdles, but I'm prepared if there are.
If you're only putting
long enough to know.
If you're only putting up 25% of the total budget and then you only have to pay the remainder when it's finished, I mean, that's a great deal. Yeah. I can't get away with that deal. I got to do a minimum of a third, and that's typically what we do. We'll do a third up front, the work will get done, we'll release another third, work will get done, and then do the following third. Most of the people that we've worked with, though, it really wouldn't matter anyways. They've worked for us for so long. But so that all seems good. So, I mean, you got your first deal. It seems like you got a good price on it. You don't have any issues during the renovation. So what are the things that you are, struggling with, if anything?
Well, I have another property that I'm looking at. The initial, I was working both of them at the same time. The one that I closed on and the one that I'm working on now. They're asking, they were asking for 80,000. The comp, it's a rural area. It's about 5 miles outside of Abilene. 5 miles outside of Abilene that is growing rapidly.
Okay.
It's crazy how much that side of town is growing. So they're going through a divorce and they want out of the property. They own 57. They were hoping to get 80. It sits on almost an acre, a little bit under an acre. So I was trying to get the comps, and it's running anywhere from 125 to 185.
Wow.
That's a pretty big.
So you got to get that under control. What is your realtor saying?
He really hadn't returned my call. So I don't know how else. I've called him and texted him a couple of times. I think he kind of wants me to buy properties from him because he mentioned that in the first go around. He goes, you need to buy properties from me.
Did you tell him you don't buy stuff on the MLS?
Yeah, I told him, I said, you guys are expensive. So
yeah, I don't get that though. I mean, if you've got a real estate agent that you're giving listings to,
Oh, I know.
Why would they even care? I mean, that's a great deal for them.
That's the way I was thinking too. I told him, I said, well, I'll be listing it, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they'd be foolish not to help you there. I mean, so you're struggling with the actual valuation of it?
Yeah, I'm struggling with the evaluation. So she called me back last week, and because I said if I should do the deal and everything goes well, the most I can give you is 67.5. They
Hmm.
owe they owe 57.
Yep.
So I said 67.5, and she said, "Well, let us think about it." And so she called last week and said, "We'll take the 67.5. My husband wants out of the house."
Hmm.
So I'm a little, I don't know, I'm a little concerned now because I've got to find the funding and I've got to figure it out if, this is going to work for me.
So what was the low end on that one? 125?
Right, right.
And what did you get repairs at?
I got repairs at probably 15 to 18 maximum.
Okay. So this seems like a better deal than the original one because
Yeah.
even at the low end, you're going to make more money.
Yes.
So where are they going after the fact?
She's already moved out. It's
Okay.
him in the house now.
Okay. But does he have a place to go?
Yeah, he's going to rent as soon as we make a decision. He's going to rent and leave the property.
Hmm. So what's the holdup on that? So is the holdup that
Me,
you don't know the value or is it the funding?
both.
Okay. So obviously you need to get the value down. Do you think there's any chance that it's lower than the 120 range?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
This,
So all right. So the next is a simple one then. So if the numbers work at the very low end, then that seems like a no-brainer. So I guess at this point you just have to make a decision like, are you going to wholesale this one or are you going to, start looking for the funding? So for the first deal, how did you fund the first deal? Like, did you
uh,
finance it or cash or what did you do?
my brother and sister-in-law in San Diego, who are realtors themselves, they put up the 25,000,
Hmm.
and then came in 18, 3,000 to the owner, and then the rest of it will be for the remodeling or rehab.
Okay.
So my
Um,
basically tied up.
yeah. So when does this person need to sell by? Is there a specific date? Because the other thing I'm thinking is, what if you just put this person on a 60-day contract and by the time you get this other deal closed, which you probably, might have 60, 75 days, then you can buy this one.
Mhm.
Is that an option or no?
Possibly. I mean, they were pretty. I've been talking with the wife, and the wife is pretty. Oh, I mean, you could read with their voice. They're going through some hard times, and they want out. They're ready to be out of the property.
Hmm. Okay. So what about wholesaling it? Is that something you want to consider or no?
Most definitely.
Mm.
You know, at this point, I feel like I would be okay with wholesaling. Of course, down the road, I'd want to, I want to build towards being able to purchase these properties. But if I have to right now, I'll certainly do it.
So the other thing I would do is I've got a lender that will do close to 100% financing.
Hmm.
If I can get you somebody that maybe do close to 100% financing, like how much do you think you'd be able to raise for this, if anything?
If anything, probably max about 3,000.
Okay. So that probably won't work. Yeah, I mean, so the first thing I would do on that one is I would try to see if you can get them to hold off.
Okay.
Do a 60 or 75-day close. I think you might be surprised that they might be willing to do it.
Okay.
One option on that too, another option is what if you give them a $3,000 non-refundable deposit? Because at the end of the day, you're buying it for what, 68 or 70? What is it?
7.5.
What was it? Sorry.
67.5.
And what do they owe again?
They owe 57.
So after closing costs, they're actually not going to put much more than 3 grand in their pocket anyways.
Right.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you give them the 3,000 non-refundable, wait for the other deal to close. They basically get the money that they need right off the bat. And then from there, you buy the deal when you have the funding.
Right.
I mean, that seems to me like it'd be a win-win for all parties involved. I mean, what
That's
do you think about that?
that's a good option. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even, I mean, even try to go lower than that, like 1,500. I mean, because so what they're probably looking for is what, first lasting security somewhere else?
Yes. Hmm.
What would that be in that market?
In our market, probably about 1,500.
Yeah, so I would try to make that happen at that number.
Yeah.
And I would say, look, I've got another deal tied up, and just see what you can do with that.
Okay.
What else? So what else do you have? So, I mean, how many face-to-faces have you been on in the month?
Oh gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5 of them.
All right. So you're hitting your numbers. I mean, you're going to hit, if you've hit 5 in a month, you'll hit 12 or 13 or 14 in over the course of 10 weeks. You've got your first deal. This one sounds like a better deal. I think if you had the option of buying one or the other, I would have actually bought this one. This
Really?
one seems like the numbers will be a little bit better. I bet you'll make at least 35 or 40 on this one.
Okay.
So I would hate to see you wholesale this one because I think, you might make 5 or 10 on a wholesale and you can make 35 or 40 on a fix and flip. So I would try to, if you can, get this one under contract and give them that small deposit. So what's the deal with was it your brother or sister?
Brother and sister-in-law.
Brother and sister-in-law. So after this deal is up, is there potential that they may be able to give you some additional funds or no?
Yes, yes. We'll continue, after this is done, they'll reinvest.
Yeah. Yeah, so they kind of want to just see like how you do with this one, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's your brother and sister-in-law, whether it's a stranger, whatever, they want to make sure that, you get your first deal done, your first deal working and making money and all that before moving forward.
Yeah.
Are you getting a lot of the leads on the phone for the most part?
You mean from like the leads that are coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any issues with working the leads or anything? Or is it you think it's pretty straightforward?
It's really straightforward. As soon as they come in, I try to call them right away.
Yep.
And other than the fact that a few of them, said, I never did this,
yep.
Let it go. I mean, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's nothing you can even say to that. You can't say, no, you didn't. How would I get your contact information? But, whatever. So what else? Is there anything else that you need help with?
No, other than the automation, it's overwhelming for me.
What part of the automation?
Well, I don't know what it is that it's just a little bit of everything. The videos that I watched initially had so much, and it was just so overwhelming.
So I think here's the thing with that. Those initial videos are everything that you need to know as a real estate investor, period. If that's all you learned, like that's all you need to know. So the thing is, for somebody on day one, it's a ton of information, but the thing about it is that information is never going to change. So 2 years from now, that's still all you need to know. Like we're not putting a man on the moon, but in the beginning, there does seem to be a lot. But having said that, you're doing deals. So really like the end game of what you want to accomplish is already happening. So, is there any of the videos specifically that you're just confused about or anything, or just like that there's so many of them that you're just trying to get through them?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get through them.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you're doing it. So you're doing something right. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I see from my perspective that's not being done right. And I think on the videos, like I would just make a plan to knock out a couple here and there and just over the course of time, jump on as many of the training sessions as you can. And you're not going to learn it all in one day.
Right.
I mean, I kind of, I'm saying like we're not putting a man on the moon, but at the same time, there is a learning curve. But I would say 6 months into this, you're not going to be confused on probably anything. And the good thing is that 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, none of this stuff changes. It's not like a technology thing or a tech company where in a year from now, all of the information can change. Fixing and flipping houses really hasn't changed that much over the past 50 years, other than the technology in order to get the leads. But even that, I mean, you don't need to really even understand that because we're providing you with the leads. So,
my next question is, I've been, searching for some hard money lenders, and one of them I was referred to by, the group that we're in. But he pre-qualified me for 50,000, which is good.
Yep.
But there's another company that's trying to, and I'll give you perspective on this. They're asking for 3,000 up front. It's through hard money lenders. Apparently, they have a whole group of people or lenders, and they're asking me for 3,000 up front. 650 would be for appraisal and inspection.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is refundable at the closing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that setup?
I'm very familiar. It's a very well-known scam, unfortunately. And I'm very glad that you asked me before doing this, because the way that they make their money is on those fees. And then what they do is they just deny all the loans. They'll say you didn't get the deal discounted enough or whatever. And then you're out the $3,000, and then you're out the appraisal fees. So that's actually their business. At some point, that's 100% going to get shut down. But I mean, as of today, I had somebody that I wasn't working with, that I was just talking to randomly, and he lost $6,000. He paid $3,000, and then somehow they told him he needed to pay another $3,000 to get something else done, either an additional, kind of appraisal or whatever. It was pretty crazy. But I do have, let me do this. I've got somebody that you should talk to. And I'm going to send you an email on that. I have somebody over in Maine that got funding from him. I'm actually just sending you the email now.
Okay.
Yeah, he only had to come up with, and so no hard money lenders are going to charge you up front. I mean, they make their money on the actual lending. They don't make their money on fees or anything like that up front. So I would never pay a hard money lender up front for anything. But this particular person that Dan Hart over in Maine dealt with funded him. And I know his price points are a lot higher than yours. I want to say it was $180,000 purchase price, and I think he only came out with maybe $5,000 out of pocket, including renovation costs. So I was pretty impressed with the fact that it got done. When he told me about it initially before it got funded, I thought it's probably not going to work out somehow. I mean, it's very, very low down payment. So I just sent you the email on that, and then keep me posted on anything else. Obviously, we're here to kind of help you. You've been talking with Carrie a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. We've been we had the next appointment, an appointment last week, but we were at the closing office, so
okay,
reschedule it.
Okay. Well, yeah, keep in contact with her, keep in contact with me. Let me know what else you need, and let me know how both of these deals turn out so that we can, help you with getting these, just making money on these things. Awesome.
Well, you really, thanks for reassuring me of that 3,000 up front deal.
Oh man.
I kind of figured that, but
it's pretty crazy, and it's unfortunate because it's like they get people who really need the money. And so, you look at it like, well, if this is the only option, to fund my deal, and I'm going to make $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 on a deal, you just end up doing it. So, Yeah, I mean, definitely glad we talked. And the person I sent you their contact information, they're legitimate. So it's not 100%, but it's pretty close to it. So let me know also if you reach out to them how that works out.
Okay, I sure will, Tom.
All right, Hazel. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on.
By the way, you kind of look like my son-in-law.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope your son-in-law is a handsome guy.
He is.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, if you're up in Boston again, let me know.
I sure will. Thanks,
All right.
Tom.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.